Putin calls Erdogan's bluff. This is SkyWatchTV for Wednesday, December 2nd, 2015. I'm Derek Gilbert. You remember on Monday of this week, Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan promised he would resign if evidence emerged showing that Turkey had purchased oil on the black market from the Islamic State. Well, Russia has put its cards on the table. At a press conference today, Deputy Defense Minister Anatoly Antonov delivered a long, detailed presentation on the oil trade from ISIS. And let's just say that the good minister didn't hold anything back. He presented charts, maps, satellite photographs. Deputy Minister Antonov said in so many words that the oil trade from ISIS reaches to the highest levels of Turkey's government. Quoting now, "The facts confirm that a whole team of bandits and Turkish elites stealing oil from their neighbors is operating in the region." And he kind of snidely made mention of the Erdogan family business and said that if President Erdogan were caught with Syrian oil smeared all over his face, he still probably wouldn't resign. Now, why does this story even matter? Turkey is a member of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Article 5 of that treaty says if a member is attacked and invokes Article 5, other members of the organization, including most of Europe and North America, would be called to mutual defense to defend Turkey against attack. If Turkey is in fact stealing Syrian oil, funding the Islamic State, and enriching members of the Turkish elite, for example, say the son of the president, Bilal Erdogan, and if the United States held off bombing the oil wells and oil convoys operated by the Islamic State for the last 14 months, not because we were concerned about the environmental impact or the loss of human life or destruction of the oil infrastructure, but because of a secret behind-the-scenes deal with Turkey to protect the smuggling routes for this black market oil, then we have a problem, Houston. We're risking war with Russia for this? Well, the fact is we may be. Yesterday, U.S. Secretary of Defense Ash Carter told Congress that we'll be deploying a specialized expeditionary targeting force to Iraq, about 200 soldiers, special forces, to help the Iraqi government troops and the Kurdish Peshmerga. Carter said these troops would eventually be able to conduct raids, free hostages, and gather intelligence, and be free to operate across the border into Syria. Now, several things here. First, the government of Iraq, Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi, said his administration would need to approve any such deployment of American forces inside his country. Secondly, the Iranian influence. It's not exaggerating things to say that Iran is more or less calling the shots, especially as regards the military deployment of Iraqi troops inside Iraq. And powerful Shiite militia groups are already saying that they will fight any American troops that are deployed to their country to fight their enemy, ISIS. Thirdly, the Russian bear, putting U.S. troops on the ground and conducting raids into Syria potentially puts American soldiers into direct conflict with Iranian Republican Guard troops and makes them targets for Russian airstrikes against Syrian rebel groups that we support, the United States. So, one other thing. In any conflict, the war for public opinion is often just as important as the war against the actual physical enemy on the battlefield. We appear to be losing that war inside Iraq. The Washington Post reports today that most Iraqis seem to believe that the United States is actually arming the Islamic State. One Shiite militia commander told a reporter that his friend saw U.S. helicopters delivering bottled water to Islamic State fighters. Now, that's almost certainly untrue, but it doesn't really matter. Regardless of whether it's true or not, if people believe it's true, they will behave as though it's true. Perception is reality, which means that we could be deploying a couple hundred American troops into a war zone where they are likely to face fire from both sides of the line. And I ask again, is this really wise? In other news, the government of Greece is asking citizens there to declare how much money they've got hidden under the mattress. Not exactly, but they are being asked to present a tally of all cash holdings greater than 15,000 euros, which is about $16,000, and all jewelry and precious stones, gold, diamonds, etc., worth more than about 30,000 euros. This is apparently an attempt by the cash-strapped Greek government to begin taxing those assets, even if they are held outside the country. This new asset declaration form that's been sent to Greek citizens is 56 pages long. If nothing else, it promises full employment for accountants and tax attorneys. Now, I mention this because of recent stories we've seen about banks and some European governments, Sweden in particular, trying to eliminate the use of physical cash. Now, connecting these dots, this is a trend that's going to continue to grow. I suspect that many Greeks, a little upset at being asked to tell the government what they've got on hand as far as cash and precious jewels and stones, may conveniently forget to list a few items on this asset declaration form. However, it's hard to hide money from the government if all of your money is digital. If physical cash and currency, coins, have been replaced by digits on a bank's ledger sheet somewhere connected to your debit card, or possibly to a mark in your hand or forehead. It's another aspect of technocracy. Again, this is a trend that's going to grow. It's going to come here to North America eventually. Part of the technocrats' relentless push to rebuild Babel and establish that global government that they want. Speaking of money, by the way, now that we've closed the books on November, I mentioned last week the rapid spike in U.S. national debt once Congress lifted the debt ceiling. It is now up to $674 billion, greater than it was prior to the change in the debt limit. The total U.S. debt has increased by 77% during President Obama's time in office. Probably no surprise to you, but the National Security Agency is still spying on you. The USA Freedom Act, which shut down the NSA's program to vacuum up vast amounts of metadata from our cell phone calls, ended this past Saturday night. However, while the law nipped that one aspect of the NSA's spying program, there are several others in place that continue to watch you and me without warrants. For example, the PRISM program that was disclosed by Edward Snowden in 2013. Which allows the NSA to scoop up internet communications from companies like Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook. Still going, business as usual. Just remember, anything you post to the internet, you might as well staple to your next resume. When I researched NSA spying for a presentation at a prophecy conference a couple of years ago, and this might make its way into a book at some point if I get motivated, I was surprised to find out that the flood of data that the NSA is collecting is actually overwhelms the government's capacity to actually hold it or even store it. For example, there was a lot of chatter that came into the National Counterterrorism Center back in 2009 before a man named Umar Farouk Abdul-Muttalib tried to blow up a Northwest Airlines flight on Christmas Day 2009 over Detroit. So much of the data that came into the NCTC was irrelevant that analysts didn't put the pieces of the plot together until after it had been stopped. So it wasn't surveillance that caught this would-be terrorist and prevented him from bringing down that Northwest Airlines flight. He was stopped when other passengers on the plane noticed that the dude's underwear was on fire. One analyst says that they have so much information coming into their centers that his job is like trying to drink from a fire hose. And in fact, it overwhelms the NSA's massive Utah data center, which is a huge storage facility built in Utah. It went online for the National Security Agency about a year ago. But the amount of digital information that we create in the course of a year is many times greater than the UDC. And the proliferation of spy drones now is making the situation even more ridiculous. Thanks to high-definition cameras and better sensors, a typical drone flight, surveillance flight, can generate up to 400 terabytes of data. I thought I was doing great when I bought a new external 5-terabyte hard drive for the computer that's created this video file you're watching right now. 400 terabytes per flight. And of course, the government wants to save that data so they can compare and contrast and analyze whatever targets they are surveilling. Now, that has created a huge new market for private contractors to sell data storage services to the government, which of course leads to questions about the security of that data. But I wonder if surveillance, national security is really the end goal of all of this data collection anyway. Big data is a growth industry, multi-billion-dollar industry and growing every year. I need to do more research on this, and I'm going to speculate here that besides trying to keep you and I under control, technocrats need gobs and gobs of data to try to figure out how to best manage our lives. Energy consumption, currency flows, things like that. They analyze it scientifically and then tell us how we're supposed to live according to their calculations. But I think it's even more than that. And again, this is speculation, needs more research, but I wouldn't be surprised to find out whether this data was being collected, stored, and analyzed for the purpose of creating a very lifelike virtual reality, a digital earth into which our minds, consciousness, and his personalities can be uploaded to live forever, or at least so the transhumanists think. Again, speculation on my part. I just don't see any other good explanation for generating so much data that we can't actually store it all, or at least so we're told. Last night on SkyWatch TV, we discussed one of the greatest problems facing the world today, and that is radical Mahdism, the apocalyptic worldview of the Islamic State. How do we deal with this issue? That was the topic last night with Lieutenant Colonel Bob McGinnis on SkyWatch TV, the author of the new book, Never Submit. If you missed it on the Christian Television Network, it's available now on the SkyWatch TV channel on Roku and on YouTube. You'll find links to both of those channels at our website. We also remind you that the registration is closing soon for the 2016 Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference. Colonel McGinnis will be one of the featured speakers there. This is coming up July 14th through the 17th in Colorado Springs. Over 24 speakers on Bible prophecy and geopolitics, and of course the geopolitics through a biblical prophetic lens. Information and registration is available online now at prophecywatchers.com. As we approach Christmas, we have some new gifts that we'd like to offer to you for your gift of financial support to SkyWatch TV. Gifts with a holiday theme, of course. Music for the Christmas holiday. Music from different cultures, in fact. 3 discs, 3 hours of Christmas music in Latin, African, and Celtic styles. A $30 value here. A book, a very creative look at what happened to Ebenezer Scrooge after the story ends. The Dickens story, that is. Donna Howell, co-author of the book Redeemed Unredeemable, wrote this fictional tale of the last years of Ebenezer Scrooge called Ebenezer. We'll offer that to you, as well as this very lovely Christmas tree decoration, Noel. Our gift to you for your gift of any amount during the month of December to SkyWatch TV. We do need, because of shipping costs, to limit this offer to those people living in the United States. But if you'd like to contribute and receive these gifts during the month of December, instructions on how to donate are posted at SkyWatch TV. And of course, my posts and things on the internet are available right here, Facebook, Twitter, and of course my website. And if you have questions or comments, suggestions for me, please send those to dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. And thank you for watching. As we keep watch, I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.